कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजनरञ्जन जमुनातीरावनचारी जमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव श्री राधे जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय श्रीपाद जय जय श्रीपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल जय जय राधा माधव की जय हो हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्ण। थैंक यू। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमः श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी।
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितान् येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहन रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। सप्तकांचन गौरांगे राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, first chapter, 43rd verse. Jyotiryadaiva doka padvesu ada samira veganugatam vibhavyate evam swamaya rachiteshvasau puman गुणेषु रागानुगतो विमुह्यति। ज्योतिर्यथैव दोकापाधिवेश अदा समीरवेगानुगतं विभाव्यते एवं स्वमाया रचितेषु असौ पुमान् गुणेषु रागानुगतो विमुह्यति। Translation. When the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, they appear to be of different shapes, sometimes round, sometimes long, and so on, because of the movement of the wind. Similarly, when the soul, when the living entity, the soul, is absorbed in materialistic thoughts, he accepts various manifestations as his own identity because of ignorance. In other words, one is bewildered by mental concoctions because of agitation from the material modes of nature. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This verse gives a very good example by which to understand the different positions of the eternal spirit soul in the material world and how the soul takes on different bodies. The moon is stationary and one, but when it is reflected in water or oil, it appears to take different shapes because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, the soul is the eternal servant of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when put into the material modes of nature, it takes different bodies, sometimes as a demigod, sometimes a man, a dog, a tree, and so on. By the influence of Maya, the illusory potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the living entity thinks that he is this person, that person, American, Indian, cat, dog, tree, or whatever. This is called Maya. When one is freed from this bewilderment and understands that the soul does not belong to any shape of this material world, one is situated on the spiritual platform, Brahmabhuta. This realization is sometimes explained as Nirakara or formlessness. This formlessness, however, does not mean that the soul has no form. The soul has form, but the external agitating form he has acquired because of material contamination is false. Similarly, God is also described as Nirakara, which means the God has no material form but is Sachitananda Vigraha. The living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Sachitananda Vigraha, but his material forms are temporary or illusory. Both the living entity and the Supreme Lord have original spiritual forms, Sachidanand Vigraha, but the Lord, the Supreme Lord, does not change his form. The Lord appears as he is, whereas the living entity appears because material nature forces him to accept different forms. When the living entity receives these forms, he identifies with them and not with his original spiritual form. As soon as the living entity returns to his original spiritual form and understanding, he immediately surrenders to the supreme form, the personality of Godhead. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunam janmanam ante gnanavan mam prapadyate. And the living entity, after many, many births in different forms, returns to his original form of Krishna consciousness. He immediately surrenders unto the lotus feet of the supreme form Krishna. This is liberation. As stated, the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta prasannatma na sochati na kankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Surrender to the Supreme Form is the result of bhakti. This bhakti or understanding of one's position is complete liberation. As long as one is under an impersonal understanding of the absolute truth, he is not in pure knowledge, but must struggle for pure knowledge. Kleso adhikarastesham avyakta chetasam. Although one may be spiritually advanced, if one is attached to the impersonal feature of the absolute truth, one must still work very hard. As indicated by the words, kleso adhikatara, which means greater suffering. A devotee, however, easily attains his original position as a spiritual form and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his original form. Krishna himself explains the forms of the living entity in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where he clearly says to Arjuna that he, Arjuna, and all other living entities who were previously in their original forms are separate individual identities. They were individuals in the past, they are now situated in individuality, and in the future they will all continue to maintain their individual forms. The only difference is that the conditioned living entity appears in various material forms, whereas Krishna appears in his original spiritual form. Unfortunately, those who are not advanced in spiritual knowledge think that Krishna is like one of them and that his form is like their material forms. Avajananti mamuda manusim tanu asritam. Bhagavad Gita 9:11. Krishna is never puffed up by material knowledge and is therefore called Achyuta, whereas the living entities fall down and are agitated by material nature. This is the difference between the Supreme Lord and the living entities. In this connection, it is noted that Vasudeva, who was situated in a transcendental position, advised Kamsa not to commit further sinful activities. Kamsa, a representation of the demons, was always ready to kill Krishna or God, whereas Vasudeva represents a transcendentally situated person to whom Krishna is born. Vasudeva is the son of Vasudeva. Vasudeva wanted his brother-in-law Kamsa to refrain from the sinful act of killing his sister, since the result of being agitated by material nature would be that Kamsa would have to accept a body in which he has to suffer again and again. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 5:5-4, Rishabhadeva also says, Na sadhu manye yato atmano ayam asan api kleshada asha deha. As long as the living entity is entangled in the fruitive activities of so-called happiness and distress, he will receive a particular type of body in which to endure the three kinds of suffering due to material nature. Tritapa yantrana. An intelligent person, therefore, must free himself from the influence of the three modes of material nature and revive his original spiritual body by engaging in the service of the Supreme Person, Krishna. As long as one is materially attached, one must accept the process of birth, death, disease, and old age. One is therefore advised that an intelligent person, instead of being entangled in so-called good and bad fruitive activities, should engage his life in advancing in Krishna consciousness, so that instead of accepting another material body, Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma, he will return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna to everyone. All glories to all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Maharajas, Dandavat Pranam. So today we are understanding this important verse. So very good analogy is given here. The analogy is the reflections of sun or moon in water or oil. We can see that if there is a huge body of water, then the moon may look very beautiful if the water is not muddy. But if the water is muddy, we can't see the reflection. Similarly, if you have a small drop of oil and if you see the reflection of sun on that, it may look very small. And if there is a little wind, the oil droplet may become like elliptical and the sun may also look elliptical. Of course, the sun is not elliptical. When we see the sun, it is round. But in the oil drop on the oil droplet, we can see that the sun has a different shape, different size as per the size of the particle, oil particle or the water droplet. So this analogy is given here for us to understand that whatever reflection we are seeing in the oil drop is not the actual reflection. The actual existence is that of sun, and this is only a temporary. That's why it's called illusory. The illusion means to accept what that does not exist eternally. Illusion does not mean that something does not exist at all. The definition of illusion, as per Vaishnavas, is that something that is temporary. Like, for example, this material world, Krishna says, Dukhalayam Ashashvatam in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So, Dukhalayam means full of misery, Ashashvatam means temporary. But instead of accepting this material world as Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, if we think that the material world is a nice place to enjoy, it is a very nice place to make life very comfortable. We make things very comfortable here, and therefore, then that means we are not accepting the material world is temporary and full of misery. We are accepting that material world is full of happiness. So, when we try to make a situation very happy in the material world, we think we are happy. But the fact is that at the time of death, whatever situation we have prepared, we will not be able to enjoy it. Instead of staying at home, we'll be in the ICU. Instead of having nice, comfortable prasadam, we'll be given ensure. Ensure is an emergency food given to those who are in the coma stage. Okay, and it will be fed through the nose, not through the mouth. When someone is in ventilator, this is what they do. So the food is given through ensure, and the oxygen is given through the ventilator instead of nicely breathing comfortably through our nose. And the digestive system is very weak, but we are not in a comfortable position to eat puri, halwa, sabji, and all these things. This is the end of life. When we associate ourselves with the body, when we associate ourselves with the material body will show its true situation at the time of death. Until that point, we think that the material body is, we take it granted that material body is available for us to enjoy the worldly pleasure. Now, some people die instantaneously. Very fortunate people are there, they die instantaneously. That means they don't struggle a lot. Just like they go for a pilgrimage and they may die in the pilgrimage. But we have to remember that if they are not spiritually inclined, even though they may be doing pilgrimage, they will still struggle. The struggle of the living entity at the time of leaving the body It depends on the attachment of the living entity to that particular form. If the living entity is not attached, if the living entity is internally accepting that this is Krishna's body, Krishna gave me a body, I am living this body, then the struggle will not be felt. But if the living entity is absorbed into the worldly things and thinks that I am forced somehow, I don't want to die, I want to enjoy the opulence that I have created, I want to be there for some more time, then automatically the struggle will be there. So, this material body we may get because of our past karma, but by doing devotional service, we can be ever detached. So, this point we have to always remember. So, this so called, covering that we are having as a demigod, as a man, as a hog, as a tree, it is basically due to our conditioning with the material nature. We don't understand what is material nature. So therefore, uh, what we do is we consider a particular combination of the three modes of material nature to be our own nature because we are marginal entity. We have come up from Karanodakshai Vishnu. So the living entities who come from the Karana ocean, they actually in Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur says, some living entities, some servants of the Lord, they come from Lord Balaram. Those who come from Lord Balaram, they automatically go to the spiritual world. But those who come from the Karana ocean, they are the living entities like us who want to enter the material world and who want to see how the material world is, how the material energy is. And means the misuse of the free will started at the very origin of the living entity. So, at the time of our constitution, when we don't want to surrender to Krishna, when we don't want to accept the spiritual reality, why we don't want to accept the spiritual reality? Because we are tatastha, we are marginal. We have a tendency to get attracted to the material energy. That's what Srila Sripad said in Life and Spiritual Evolution. Srila Sripad said 5 important features of the living being. What are they? The Satchit Anand, of course, that is there. But along with that, Srila Sripad says, the living being has lot of attraction towards other living beings and also to matter. So this is another feature that the living entity has. The attraction to other living beings is based on material existence, fundamentally. Fundamentally, we are attracted to a particular living entity because of our gunas. It is not that originally we are attracted to them. No, after some time we lose that attraction. So, this original constitution of the living entity at the time means at the Leela of Lord Karanodakshai Vishnu, that time itself, the living entity is deciding to actually interact with the material energy. And when the living entity is what to say, is attracted to the material nature, the living entity becomes conditioned and conditioned to the extent of the three modes of material nature's influence. Some people are more influenced by goodness. Some people are more influenced by passion, ignorance, all these things. And once they are conditioned, they take different forms, and those forms are awarded by Lord Brahma. The secondary creation happens. So, it is not correct to say that Lord Brahma forced me to become a Rakshasa or a cockroach or a human being without any money or anything like that. Because of ignorance, Srila Prabhupada nicely says here, because of the ignorance of the living entity takes the form of this. So ignorance means not having knowledge. जहाँ ज्ञान नहीं रहता है उसको अज्ञान बोलते हैं, ignorance. So This material nature, this wonderful material nature, this three modes of material nature, is none other than Krishna's external energy. If Krishna is infinite, Krishna's external energy is also infinite because she is Krishna's energy. So, this Krishna's external energy is so big that we don't know its glory, its greatness. But because we have rebelled, because we have this viparyayo smriti. Viparyayo smriti means because our memory is now not interested to accept the Supreme Lord as the master, we have actually we are put under the control of material energy. So, Srila Prabhupada, many places he says, like a prison, when someone is rebelling, the judge says, okay, lifelong prison, or 3 years prison, 9 years prison. According to the offense that person does. Similarly, the living entities, some of them are philosophical, some of them are devotional, some of them are materialistic, some of them are, different things are there, and some of them have different combinations. What we fail to understand is we think that material nature means goodness only. No, material nature means goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the goodness is dominating, we become the demigods. When the passion is dominating, we become human beings. And when ignorance is dominating, we become trees, animals, demons, all these things. So the demigods also, like in first canto, second chapter of Bhagavatam, Srila Sutta Goswami says, ghastly forms of the demigods. We see the demigods to be very beautiful, but the demigods are having ghastly forms, as per Sutta Goswami. So we can find here that any form in the material world is a ghastly form. The reason is it is it is what to say contaminated with, just like uh, water, water with a little venom of the king cobra. It is venomous. It will give the venomous effect. Milk with a little drop of milk touched by the snake is not consumed by human beings because that milk will have venom. Little venom it will have. So similarly, even though the demigods are great personalities, because they are conditioned by the material nature, they are their forms are ghastly. That means they are not having their actual form. Sometimes demigods also do offenses. Like we know this pastime of Ahalya, Gautam Muni's wife. So these pastimes are telling us that demigods are also subject to the influence of the passion or this lust, hankering, desire. All these things are also part of the demigods. But why the Lord helps those demigods is because they are mostly situated in goodness and they want to follow the scripture, they want to follow the order of the Lord. So that's why we could be like a demigod, but having a little, kama vancha. But if we follow the acharyas, if we follow what the authority says, spiritual authority says, then we are rightly situated. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains that even atom bombs can be used for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. But we should know how to use them. We should know the art of using them. Using atom bomb does not mean that we will bomb atom bombs. It can be diplomacy also. Diplomatically also, atom bombs can be used for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. But that only Guru and Gauranga knows. We don't know because we are not spiritually situated. So this ahankar, this me and mine, ahamta and mamta, this me and mine is the last snare of Maya. The me and mine in the worldly engagement comes in the form of books, comes in the form of scholarly knowledge, comes in the form of many things. But anything can happen anytime. A great scholar, he may get Parkinson's disease, and we have seen Dean of Student Affairs of IIT Kanpur, while lecturing, he left the body. So he's not very big age, 50 years only. Last year only this thing happened. So anything can happen anytime. If we get dementia, dementia can come anytime. Epilepsy can come anytime. Paralysis, brain hemorrhage, it can come anytime. Anytime health can go way hey. So this is the fact. Otherwise, our dear God brother, he was very nicely engaged in Guru Krishna's service. He got problem in IIT, and after that, he had very few people who visited him when he was not doing well in his health. So this is the problem of material nature, that people are attracted to us when we show our scholarly ability, when we show our mm, what to say, our when they have certain when they want to exploit us in certain direction, they are acquainting with us. That we fail to understand. And we also want to exploit others. So therefore, exploitism is part of life. I exploit you for this, you exploit me for that. But the fact remains that this exploitation loses its identity when there is a critical snare in this form of health issue. So there have been many instances. I can give many examples just to tell that this material world is very, very temporary. The former EVO of TTD, Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam, I can quote his name, Dharma Reddy. Dharma Reddy's son is having a very good job in Madras. His son came to visit him in Tirupati, and he came for his engagement. The next day, engagement is there. Today, he had a heart attack, he died. This is how material world is. We are planning big, big things. All of a sudden, Krishna comes in the form of death. And we have to accept the fact. So, unless we accept that we took birth and we are about to die any time, we will not get detachment. This is the most important thing in our life. We are born, so therefore we will die. We will die any time. It is up to Krishna. Krishna is there. Krishna can come in the form of death any time. It is Krishna who gave us birth in this body. It is Krishna who will take away this body. So this philosophical detachment, if we don't cultivate in this Kali Yuga, it is very, very difficult for us to accept the spiritual authority in heart. A detachment will not come. So we may cultivate the mode of goodness, but passion and ignorance are waiting to overtake goodness. It's like we may be attending temple program, we may be attending, we may be chanting 16 rounds in the morning, we may be having breakfast, prasad, nice khichdi prasad. At 9:30 we may go for book distribution, but in the book distribution, passion overcomes us. Instead of distributing books, we think because of me, BI is running. If I don't distribute books, BI will collapse. So, this is nothing but passion to think that we are the doer and the instrument. Third canto, Lord Kapila tells Devahuti, the material nature is both the doer and instrument. That means uh, instead of instead of directing the results of our activities to the Supreme Lord, the material nature makes us believe that we are the cause of the result. Prakrute kriyamanani udai karma vibhasaga ahankara vimudatman kartaham miti manyati. The very idea of doing something in material world is it is coming from Paramatma. It is not coming from us. Matta smritir jnanam apohanam. The smriti, this memory function is this only. So it is the doer. The material energy is the doer. The material, that means so and so engagement in so and so material energy, even though it is sanctioned by the Supreme Lord, the living entity is made to think that so and so material engagement is required. So that is coming from the material energy. Material energy is pushing the living entity. The living entity is desiring, but the material energy is formalizing. Formalizing. Just like I have a desire to eat halwa, but it is there in desire only. I am not able to have a physical extension of that desire. What happens? That desire is never fulfilled. Unless that subtle desire takes the form of a physical halwa, I will not be able to relish it. So, this material nature is like that only. These three modes are like that only. The three modes act upon the spirit soul, the consciousness, and when the consciousness is contaminated by the three modes, then automatically the ego is contaminated as false ego, stationed in the form of the three modes of material nature. But we have to understand that the execution of three modes of material nature, sattva, raja, and tamas, requires a material body. Without having a material body, the desires arising from the material nature will not be fulfilled. That's why we find these ghosts and all these beings, they always want to have a dead body and they want to enter the dead body, and in the dead body they want to take refuge so that they have a body to execute their desires. Okay, that's why it is stated that we should never, they take irregular forms and irregular shapes, these ghosts and all these things. That's why it is stated that after we wake up from the bed, we should always fold our clothes. Otherwise, these ghosts and demons, they those who have this vikaras, they try to take those forms and then they try to uh, get stationed there because they have no form. They need some form which is representing their thought process. So irregular shaped things are those that are taken care by these ghosts and demons who don't have material body. So the point is that in this body itself, if we are hungry, if we simply think that I need to eat food, it is not eating food. I need food, good food. So when I'm hungry, then also I am thinking food is not tasty. This is the problem of our material existence. So overall, we can see that this material energy is so vast and so gigantic that we fail to understand its origin. We fail to understand its dynamics, and we fail to understand its end result. It's a doer, it's instrument, it's everything, material nature. And because even though it is doer and instrument, because we are conditioned by it, it makes us think that we are the doer. This is what Lord Kapila tells to Mother Devahuti in the third canto, 26th chapter of Bhagavatam. Both doer and instrument. So, this material nature That's why we need to be very careful. We should always ask who's we should become more and more philosophical. If we are not spiritual, we should be philosophical. We should ask whose nature is it and why this nature. So when we ask these questions very deeply, then whether we are a scientist or a philosopher or a Vedantist, we will come to the actual position of our existence. That is what Srila Prabhupada says, that the so-called bodies that we are taking are awarded by material nature to us because we rebelled from Krishna. And when we accept the material nature, then we will be conditioned in a particular form. And what we see in movies is all of a sudden a person becomes a great person. He has a lot of opulence. How can he get that much opulence? Material nature should award. This they fail. They fail to understand. In the movie, we'll find cycle is, old movies I'm saying, cycle is, pedaling. And in the meantime of pedaling, a small boy becomes a young man. They show just a small cycle wheel. The wheel is, running around, and a small boy becomes a big man. And the small boy used to do boot polish. And after, when they show the next scene, this person is having a big bangla and is having a big, how this much transformation is possible? It's all possible in movies only. That's why it's all illusion. Whatever they show in movies is all illusion. It is not correct. So, what is important for us to understand is that material nature accumulation is slow, and what to say, rewarding is slow, awarding is slow, punishing is also slow. This Nalakuvera and Manigriva, when they are being cursed by Srila Narad Muni, when they were cursed, when they lost totally their uh, their sense of behaving before sadhus, when they became like a tree or an animal. Nowadays we have in America or some countries, yeah, you have something called a beach where people will be there without any clothes. So this type of situations are there now also. Those places no sadhu visits, but this Nalakuvera and Manigriva, they degraded so much that they don't even have sense that they should cover their bodies when a sadhu is walking around. So how this started? We have to remember that this did not happen overnight. This happened because of 262. What is it? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha. Contemplating on the objects of the senses, one develops attachment. So, contemplation of the senses with the sense objects is the ground state of our existence. That means when we are not spiritual, we'll be material. And in material, we will invent something called cinema. If not cinema, we'll invent something like play. If not play, we will do something like, khel tamasha. Why are we doing this? Because it is there within us. That desire is internally there in the form of that particular combination of the modes, and that is coming out in the form of music, art, poetry, without Krishna consciousness. Ignoring Krishna, all these things are there. So, this point we have to understand that the manifestation of the material nature is from the subtle to the physical. And when this subtle to the physical happens, then the conditioning is more and more strong. But in the form of death, the physical will be again thrown back to the subtle. That means whatever physical engagement we are having, it will be made subtle. So at the time of ventilator, we are having our subtle body, the mind, intelligence, ego. It is again, so we will be thrown into such a situation that we will come to the little fundamental situation. And again, we leave the body and we'll go to the other body. So it is highly complex. This entire system is highly complex. So the best thing is to accept Krishna's sovereignty. Krishna's sovereignty is there in the material world also. Sarvabhaumadikar. Sarvabhaum. Sarvabhaum means sovereign. So Krishna's sovereignty is there in material world also. Krishna is dictating the wanderings of all living entities, even though they are interested in material energy. Krishna is the taste of water. Krishna is enabling the digestion of food in the stomach. Everything it is Krishna only. Krishna is the fragrance of the earth. Bhagavad Gita, if we meditate, so many things. Material energy, we are in material energy, but it is not material energy. It is Krishna's energy that is working as per the desire of Krishna. When we become like this, then automatically the so-called conditioning we may have, the so-called ahankar that we may have to a particular form or a particular body, we will not be interested in the worldly things. We will be interested in the worldly things, but with a window of Krishna consciousness. So, in this second chapter of this first canto, Srila Prabhupada says, when karma yoga is quoted with bhakti, it is when karma is over quoted with bhakti, it is called karma yoga. When jnana or empirical knowledge is quoted with bhakti, it is jnana yoga. And ultimately, this devotional service, which is not quoted with karma or jnana, it is pure devotional service. So, kena prakarena, like whatever way we are thinking, whatever way we are acting, if we can somehow bring Krishna consciousness into picture, then automatically the role of the modes will reduce. That's what synthesis of science and spirituality is all about. That science should make us philosophical, and philosophy should make us spiritual, and spiritual should make us a devotee. This is the link. If science is not making us philosophical, no use. If philosophy does not make us a spiritual, no use. If spiritual does not make us devotee, no use. So the synthesis is not happening. It is separate. So that's why we need this continual band of science spirituality synthesis given by Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. I end up here. Hare Krishna Dandavats. So, Prabhujis, Matajis, if you have anything to discuss, please feel free. Maharaj, you may want to add something.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for the class.
तो बहुत अच्छा वो व्याख्या किए है। प्रणाम प्रभु जी, जय जगन्नाथ।
Dandavat Maharaj, Hare Krishna.
हम देखे हैं बहुत बड़े बड़े साधक, तथाकथित भक्त लोग भी, तथाकथित साधु, तो लोग भी स्थान काल के द्वारा प्रभावित हो जाते हैं। लेकिन जो भगवान का भक्त है, वो लोग पूर्वाचार्य साधु शास्त्र को यथाजथ फॉलो करते हैं, तो इसी कारण ये लोग बच जाते हैं। जैसे प्रभुपाद महाराज अमेरिका इंग्लैंड सब देश गए, सबको धोती पहनाए, तिलक धारण कराए, लेकिन तथाकथित साधु लोग गए, खुद अपना वेश ड्रेस सब परिवर्तन कर दिए। ऐसा कुछ कुछ साधु का आप उदाहरण दीजिए और इसके ऊपर आप कुछ व्याख्या कीजिए।
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur sent some of his own disciples. I am not going outside. They were not successful. They went and they tried to preach Krishna consciousness. He sent two of his disciples to London. They went and they came back and they asked them to stop eating meat. I said, not eating meat, not possible. So, it is Krishna's arrangement also. We have to remember that all other, sadhus, they remain where they are because they are not functioning for Krishna. They are not trying to please Krishna or Guru. Even if someone is a sannyasi, if the sannyasi is not pleasing his Gurudev, If the sannyasi is not acting as per the instruction of the Gurudev, the sannyasi is having little doubt that why Guru sent me here. I don't know. Maybe I will not be, you know, I don't know is okay, but maybe I will not be successful. If that little tinge is there, that means Ahankar is coming into the picture. Ignorance is coming into the picture. Because all spiritual matters are driven by the spiritual consciousness of the Guru, which is pure. So Sakshat Hari is as good as Hari himself. The Prabhupada time, many Mayavadi sannyasis went to America. When we read Prabhupada Leelamrut, we find there are gurus who charge $1 and give diksha. So this dollar business, we all know what happened. The dollar business is like that only. Even today, we have so many in Vrindavan. I'm not giving names. In Vrindavan, there are many sadhus who are not following four regulative principles, especially sannyasis associating with women. Many are there. But is this what Mahaprabhu gave us? Is this what Prabhupada gave us? Is this what Guru Maharaj gave us? We have to see all these things. Otherwise, sentimentalism does not make any sense. So, Osho, we all know Osho. Osho's philosophy became very famous. But what is the philosophy of Osho? Sense gratification only. And sense gratification does not give us a solution. It ultimately finishes out. It does not develop us this detachment. So, this Osho, of course, it is even lower level. We can find that this Pravritti Marg and Nivritti Marg. So, Pravritti Marg is sense gratification, Nivritti Marg is detachment from sense gratification. Now, there are two ways of detachment. One is passive, another is active. Just like when we do meditation. If we do meditation with mantra, it is active meditation. When we do meditation without mantra, just by controlling the air in and out, it is a passive meditation. So, similarly, this Nivritti Marg, the active is devotional service, and the passive means to consider that I am not the body, I am the soul. To consider that I am not the body, I am the soul is passive, but it is not going to remain forever. If you are not the body, then why? Why are you having this desire? Why are you having this hankering? And from where the hankering comes? So if we go a little ahead, then we will come to Radha Krishna Raslila and Mahaprabhu coming here in the mood of Radharani. Then everything is intact. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
तो आप दूसरे एक पॉइंट के ऊपर भी बताए, जैसे कारण को साई विष्णु, उसके ऊपर मैं थोड़ा देखा आप हमारा भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर के जैव धर्म से ये बहुत अच्छे हैं। जैसे हम लोग विदेश जाते हैं तो ट्रांसफर करते हैं हमारा धन को, तो वैसा ही हमारा अहंकार उधर ट्रांसफर होता है। सत्य अहंकार होता है, मिथ्या अहंकार से सत्य अहंकार, वो अहंकार उधर से ट्रांसफर होता है। हमारा कारण साई विष्णु तत्व तक हम लोग जब प्राप्त करते हैं, पहुंच जाते हैं वो स्थिति को, तो उधर से हमारा अहंकार जो है सत्य अहंकार, मतलब गुरु कृष्ण का ऊपर निर्भरशील होकर के हम लोग अहंकार करते हैं। जैसे प्रभुपाद महाराज कहते हैं, मेरा कुछ क्रेडिट नहीं है, मेरा गुरुदेव ने मुझे भेजे, ये कृष्ण का क्रेडिट है। कृष्ण ने यथार्थ जो भगवत गीता दिए उसको मैं यथार्थ स्थापना किया, बस उसका ही ये सब क्रेडिट है। तो वैसा ये सब सत्य अहंकार हो जाता है गुरु कृष्ण, तो ये ट्रांसफर हो जाता है भक्तों के पास वही स्थिति से। ठीक है प्रभु, जय जगन्नाथ। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु।
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
ये जैसे एग्जांपल एक दिमाग में आया, जैसे कुछ कुछ शीशा होता है ना, मिरर, वो थोड़ा टेढ़ा होता
Mm.
है या फिर कन्वेक्स मिरर होता है, उसमें भी हमारा चेहरा जो है थोड़ा
Mm.
चेंज हो जाता है। तो वही,
Exactly.
वो भी एक तरह से कंडीशनिंग बोल सकते
Mm.
हैं। अलग अलग प्रति मिरर में अलग अलग रिफ्लेक्शंस आ रहा है, वो भी। हाँ, वही था ब्रो। ठीक है।
ठीक है, तो और
श्याम
कोई
प्रभु,
बात नहीं?
श्याम प्रभु का क्वेश्चन तो।
हाँ प्रभु, प्लीज।
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
दंडवत प्रभु, हरे कृष्ण।
प्रभु, Prabhu, my question is that here in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that the Bahunam Janmanam Hante Jnanavan Ma Prapadinte. So, after many, many births, so person, we come across people, no, when those who are maybe practicing or have studied our scriptures. So, just wanted to clarify, means one person who has read books, our society's books, no? After reading
Mm.
also, he appreciates devotees, they're doing very good work and this thing. But when it comes to himself, maybe it's a family tradition, worshipping other demigods and these things. He's not able to come out, he's not able to practice our Vaishnava devotional practices, this thing.
Mm.
So he's continuing with that, and okay, he gives donation or he gives, he appreciates devotees. So is it that this thing only, that this Bahunam Janmanam, it takes time for some people?
Actually, if you see, Prabhu, this knowledge is not theoretical knowledge. We have to remember this point.
Hmm.
Prabhupada says, what is real knowledge? To understand the distinction between soul and matter.
Hmm.
Mm. So, can theoretically someone understand what is soul and what is matter?
No.
Ah. So when Prabhupada says, did you understand? That means Prabhupada says, did you realize and understand? Or did you understand and realize? Did you get the realization? So
Hmm.
reading books is okay, but realization is not happening. And we find many places, we have live examples in the life of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. One gentleman used to stay in his room all the time. And he did not go through any formal reading of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's books. Whole day he
Hmm.
was in seva. He used to come, whatever Prabhupada used to say, he used to write. That's all. He did this for 15 years. And when they had
Hmm.
this Bhakti Shastri type of exam, he got the highest marks. Not those
Okay.
who had the formal Bhakti Shastri in, Gaudiya Math. He got the highest marks. So, it is not about how many books we have taken and how much we have become, bookworms and all these things. It's about accepting what is given
Hmm.
in the heart.
Hmm.
If that acceptance is not happening, then that means we are still conditioned.
Yes.
So that acceptance, once it happens, then things will be fast. Just like once you have the petrol, once you have the early morning road, then going from Howrah station to Calcutta airport will take only 20 minutes.
Hmm.
But in the evening, when you are in Sham Bazaar or Bada Bazaar, you take a taxi, go to airport, it takes 2 hours.
Yes.
Mm. So this is the thing, like reading books is okay, but accepting whatever Acharya says, accepting it, and accepting means practice.
Right.
Like, for example, Guru Maharaj gave us these books. Some people think this is not science spirituality. Some people think this is waste of time. Some people think so many people think so many things.
Yes.
But those who are engaged in this seva, they know the rasa, they know the mellow of serving in this mood.
Mm.
Not those who are not trained, not those who are not oriented to these things. So they may stand there, they may clap, they may say, they put garland on Guru Maharaj photo, but in the heart, where are they? So
Yeah.
that is the point, that that type of limitation is there in someone, then that person is still taking time. That person needs more association of sadhus. That person needs more engagement in devotional service, like like having a lot of prasadam,
Mm.
coming more for ASSQ conference, associating more with Vaishnavas, winter school, summer school, pilgrimage, Radha Kund. Then that person slowly becomes devotee.
Yeah.
So by reading books, we can't get devotees. That much is sure.
Yeah.
If someone becomes a devotee by reading books, and then I would say such a person is Paramahamsa, like top class. Very rare. Devotees come through Sangha, Sadhu Sangha.
Yeah.
Because in
Books are
Sadhu
a
Sangha,
platform.
yeah, the transformation is very rapid. Book you may read for some time, you
Right.
may put it aside, but Sadhu Sangha, 24 hours you are in the shelter of someone. Yes, Prabhu,
Mm.
you are saying something?
Yeah, Prabhu means, yeah, as you said, no, association means practically he sees what they are doing, so he gets
Hmm.
uh, attracted by that. And it's okay, it's a nice thing they are doing. They are very blissful. They are joyful doing that. Practically, he's
Exactly.
saying that. But books are the platform, no, for at least for him to understand the knowledge. If he is wise to
Yeah, but
understand.
just reading books is not enough.
Yeah.
We are distributing so many books. How many of them are coming to the BA mission?
Coming, Prabhu. Coming.
Coming means numbers.
Yeah.
That is only possible when we have association. When we more and more associate with them, then automatically they're coming, but they're not coming also. Both.
Yeah, understood. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Dhanavad Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, we can wake up for today.
Yeah. So the summary of today's discussion is the material conceptions are like reflections of sun and moon in water and oil, and they may appear to be sometimes small, big, long, elevated, distorted. So similarly, this original consciousness of the soul, when it is reflected into the material nature, the material energy, whatever transformations are happening, the vikaras, they're all, what to say, temporary and illusory. Illusory means not real. Not real means not permanent. That is the point we have to understand. Illusion means not permanent. They existed for some time and they don't exist for some time. Since they don't exist forever, since they are not existing at some time, they're illusion. If something exists forever, it is real. Something does not exist forever, it is not real. It is illusion. So therefore, the point is that Kamsa needs to now not do any more suffering by punishing more and more his sister. And for this reason, this analogy and logic has been given so that he becomes a great, not even great person, but what to say, he can become a kind-hearted person and ignore killing Devaki. So we can see here that pure devotee like Vasudeva, what is his thought process? His great thought process. And we should also cultivate such thought process. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna.
श्रीमद्
Thank you for
भागवतम की जय, श्रील
Jai.
श्रीपाद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank
Easily
you, Prabhu.
Swami Vijay.
Dandavad. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Thank you all the devotees, senior Vaishnavas, Maharajas. Hare